Welcome to Gloria's Gab Live. I have two amazing people as my guests today. Thank you so much for coming. I have Sammy Gonzalez Ziera. He is the founder and CEO of Young Musicians Unite. And then this lovely, beautiful woman who's been in the arts forever too, Shelia Womble, and you are the executive director of Arts for Learning, which is doing amazing work in our public schools and making such an impact between the two of you, one with music, one with arts. And we're going to find out all about what they're doing, the impact they're making, the challenges they're facing because of the potential cuts in the county budget and actually national budgets all over. So before we start, we have to thank South Florida PBS, another amazing resource in our community that's certainly supporting the arts and health and everything else. If you are a member, you get one of these once a month, and it tells you everything that's going on. And there's so many great programs coming up for September. And they have another immersive art experience coming up, the Pharaoh exhibit. So you guys are going to have to look into that also, getting groups of people to go. So let's start. Sammy, you want to start out and talk about how arts has impacted your life and caused you to create this amazing organization.
Thank you for having me here, Gloria.
You're welcome.
It. I'm a product of free music education, born and raised in Miami-Dade, and I had the most amazing experience with amazing teachers from elementary to middle school to high school.
Right.
And in high school, I got to work with Doug Burris, who was if you don't know, at Miami-Dade Senior High School was the first high school rock ensemble in American history, founded in 1972 by Doug Burris. And he had MS, and he taught from a wheelchair, and he taught rock and roll and classical guitar.
No.
Yeah, and I would spend every single day with this man after school and during the school and travel with him and compete. And he really taught me what it was to be a great teacher, even though I didn't know it at the time. When I was older, I started to college. Well, music gave me a pathway to college. It gave me a full ride to college, and I was able to go beyond anything that I was raised with. And at 27 years old, I started to look around at the scene, and I realized that a lot of the programs that changed my life, a lot of the programs that gave me that path to college and my future weren't around anymore, and they're being cut left and right. And even that program, that rock ensemble program, was on the chopping block because Burrs sadly passed away. Oh. So I wanted to just make a difference, and I started off with just one classroom at the Young Men's Preparatory Academy with 8 students, thinking that I was going to go in there and make them these amazing classical musicians and a classical guitar player, rock and roll musician, and they're all going to go to New World School of the Arts, and it was going to be so easy and simple. And I learned after about 2 classes really quickly that I had to meet the kids where they're at, and that wasn't going to happen, to change my expectations to what is important for them and not what is important for my ideology. And I fell in love with teaching. I fell in love with working with them. And you fast forward now, Young Musicians Unite works with about 12,000 students every single week.
Whoa.
We're part of the school day curriculum, 75 different schools in Miami-Dade, grades 5 to 12. And in school is for the kids, for any child, the kids that would just want to play. The after school is for the kids that want to be on stage and to perform. Mm-hmm. We put on over 200 performances a year.
Oh my goodness.
All students across. Wow. We put on 3 different music festivals with Arts Axis. And we are able to also follow the kids up to that momentum where we have a free recording studio. So from any child who wants to just pick up the instrument and be a fan of the arts, which is important, especially when you go and you're a professional and you're a lawyer or a doctor and you can give back and be a patron of the arts, to the student that wants to go to college for music. We get about 15 to 20 students every year that get full rides to schools like Juilliard and NYU and Berkeley School of Music. New school, 2 different kids this past year, and these are kids that would have never had a chance to be able to afford these colleges, and we were able to train them up through music and express themselves, and the most shy kid to now the most powerful kid knowing how to use their voice.
Isn't that amazing how you can transform their lives like that?
100%. It's like my life was transformed through music. So we just embody that and we pay it forward, which is what's important.
Okay, and what you two have in common, Shelia is Executive Director of Arts for Learning. So tell us about Arts for Learning. And, well, you can start by telling how you were impacted.
It's really quite sweet, actually. Sammy and I have sort of similar origin stories. Both of us are product of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and both of us were really impacted by those really creative teachers, whether they were teachers that were teaching core academic subjects that were very creative in their teaching, or if they were actually the arts teachers. I was fortunate enough that at my school at the time, I was able to take, lots of dance classes and photography classes. And I had a really amazing 11th grade English literature class. And she was a thespian at heart. And so she used theater to help bring learning to life. Mm-hmm. And it made me really understand the importance of the arts. And the arts are truly a communication tool. And mm-hmm. the power of the arts to transform a child and to have them really engage in learning. And I wanted that to be accessible for all kids at all points in their life, from the time that they are in preschool all the way to high school. So for the past 25 years, we have been fortunate enough to build sort of a continuum of arts programming for children. So we have a partnership with Miami-Dade County Head Start. We work with 1,000 early Head Start and Head Start children on really exposing them to the arts at a very early age. Art is our first language. When you're first born, you're engaged in creative play and singing and movement, and play is theater at the end of the day. And so to be able to tap into something that is innate to a child and help them be able to cultivate a love of learning at that young age is important. We also, like Sammy, we want to go where the kids are at. So it was important for us early on in our development to be able to have a robust series of out-of-school programs. Mm-hmm. So we provide after-school services. We run our own after-school programs. And as well, we partner with other organizations. We have about 15 community partners, and we are their art solution. So they're mm-hmm. responsible for all of the other components of the aftercare program, and we are providing them arts instructors in the visual and performing arts. We say at Arts for Learning, we're all children, all arts, all ages. So it is, all of the arts: theater, music, dance, the visual arts, creative writing, film, architecture, animation. Wow. And we really want to make sure that we're serving kids all the way through high school. So we have, preschool programs, then we have our after-school programs. We have studio programs for our upper elementary and middle school kids who really start to show an interest in the arts and want to go to the next level. And then at high school, we offer paid summer internships in the arts. This does not mean that they're working at the Arts for Learning office, helping us with administration. We actually hire them to be artists over the summer. And so we have 7 different areas where they can work, and they are charged with producing and presenting work every summer. And that's wrapped around also providing them with support for thinking about college, goal setting, mm-hmm. Financial aid for college, and for many of them, this is their first check. So we're also trying to teach them life skills, even money management, as they're trying great. To. They get a lot through all of the arts and all the arts programs.
I believe in letting kids have a job as they're growing up. My dad always did. I didn't need to, but he put me to work.
We were true pioneers here in Miami. We looked around and saw that there were internships opportunities for kids in many different sectors, but none in the arts, and thought, why not? They need a chance to learn. And you learn so many skills. Our goal is not to create the next generation of artists. If they decide to go on and to pursue the arts as a livelihood, that's wonderful, and we're here to support them in that. But by and large, the arts has something that brings out the brilliance in everyone, and they are transferable skills that will serve you in any career path.
Oh, I fully believe that. And without the arts, this would be a drab, awful place. I mean, that brings joy. It brings a spiritual impact. There's so many good things about it. And now let's talk about, as important as we know it is, let's talk about what's happening with funding, and how is it impacting what United, the musicians, your group does, and Arts for Learning.
Yeah. So
you first.
Right now, Miami-Dade Cultural Affairs is looking at a $12 million cut in funding. Mm-hmm. These are grants that organizations rely on, that we've been getting year after year after year, and we're able to build our teams out. So I met Shelia 8 years ago in 2017 when I applied for Miami-Dade Cultural Affairs, which is the grant that's being cut right now, 50%.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she was on the panel and did our walkthrough to see our program for the first time. And that's when I met you. And that was our first big grant that we ever applied for. We won a little over $19,000. And
that was a big grant.
It's a big grant.
Because I used to go after Junior Orange Bowl. Yeah. I mean, way before you did.
Yeah, and we'd never had a grant of that size before. Mm-hmm. So that changed Young Musicians Unite from this humble organization where I was CEO and leader in theory, but it was just me full time with some teachers, and I was able to use that money to be able to hire our COO, a full time person, with a little bit of matching funding,
Right.
and it went from a hobby to a full focus of mine.
Yeah.
And now you fast forward, because of the consistency of that grant, we're getting a little over $161,000 a year from it.
Wow.
And our organization now went from 8 students to 12,000 students, and went from this
I mean, the
small,
impact you're making is
Yeah.
tremendous.
this small little budget of 30 grand to $6.8 million
Yeah,
a
right.
year, right? But it's because of having this funding and being able to leverage the funding and knowing that it's there, you're able to make these bets, you're able to grow your team. And to now face this fiscal shortfall, it's a cliff, because we weren't warned a year ago that this was going to happen.
Exactly.
We made our budgets as organizations. My budget starts my fiscal cycle August 1st. So I made the budget in mind knowing that and thinking that I'm going to have this 160 to 165. And now all of a sudden I'm told that I might have $80,000, and I'm going to know in the next 8 weeks. And where is that rest of 80 going to come from? Like, I've already made my budget. I've already hired around my budget. So it's just, it's a lot of lack of planning and strategic alignment with the city. And then when it comes to our funding, it's really hard. And you have a lot of organizations that this is 15-20% of their whole budget.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Are they going to lay off staff members? Are they going to cut programs? Because at the end of the day, you can't have programs without oversight, without the
Yeah.
staffing, right? And if not, it's just a bunch of teachers going to the classroom, but who's training them, who's working with them, who's making sure that the kids are showing up, that they're being taken care of properly.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's
How
not
about
just
you?
about how these cuts affect our organizations. You know, we are an arts and culture community, and it is very interconnected. And the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs is very strategic. They are an incubator for excellence.
Mhm.
You know, I think about what Miami was like 25 years ago, and it has changed dramatically. And it has changed dramatically because there was a strategic investment in the arts, because
Exactly,
there was
and
a
I saw
vision
it.
and a plan.
Yeah.
You know, everything from having visions, you know, for, you know, whether it was bringing Art Basel to Miami, whether it was wanting to have an anchor arts institution like the Arts Center. But
Mhm.
even with these large institutions, who fills those stages? Individual artists, small and medium art-sized groups who are producing and presenting work. You know, this cultural community is so interconnected that all those entities I spoke about, you know, we share artists. We make Miami a viable place for artists to live and to provide, you know, access to the arts for all of the community, for children, youth, family, individuals with special needs, seniors. The arts don't just belong to like one sector. It is a community, you know, asset that we have and that we've built. You know, the cuts are devastating, not just because people have planned on that money. We know change happens. People are resilient. The bigger thing here is that it feels incredibly short-sighted. We know it is a very, very tough budget year, but the arts are oftentimes come to when you want to have economic investment in a community, when you want economic development in a community, you look towards the arts because you want to make your city, you want to make your community something that people are attracted to, and the arts do that. You want to be a world-class community.
World-class.
And we have done that. People come to Miami and they don't just come now for the beaches and the weather. They come because of the culture that is here. They come because of the art museums and the performances and the things to do. And, you know, that all has a trickle down, so that it's not just, you know, spurring development and investment. We provide, I think, is it $2.1 billion in economic impact. So that is something that is super significant. And the arts community alone provides 32,000 full-time jobs. That doesn't even account for the part-time jobs that are offered as well that help make it a place for people to call home.
Yeah. So, so what do you see happening? Okay, say you don't get all the funding you need. What's your next step? Are you thinking of, we'll have to do additional fundraisers? Where are you, like, because you have to be saying, oh, well, we can cross our fingers and hope, or or
we're not
lobby
crossing
or
our fingers
ask
and
people.
hoping.
Yeah, but you have to have a backup plan.
You do have to have a backup plan, but plan A is get the funding restored.
Get it
Nobody
restored.
is sitting here crossing our fingers and just hoping. You know, we have a mayor who listens to her constituents.
Yes, she does.
We have commissioners who the ball is now in their court. The
Right.
mayor has presented the budget. The commissioners also know the impact of the arts.
Yeah.
And the arts community has been very vocal about the impact that this will have on the community, on the livelihoods of the residents. You know, oftentimes you don't know what you've got till it's gone, but we know what will be lost. And we're making that known loudly and clearly. And I'm happy to say that we're beginning to see some progress. We are beginning to see the mayor, she's holding a town hall tonight specific for the arts to talk about the arts.
Yeah.
I also know that many commissioners are going to be working towards seeing, they don't want the arts to be decimated and to be cut off at the knees.
Yeah.
They know the impact that this has, and I know that they are committed to working to find solutions, not just for this year, but for the long term. The chairman has expressed support for the arts and wanting to find funding in ways that they can be able to make sure that some things are really sustainable. Another piece of this that's important too is the proposal of having the county Department of Cultural Affairs merged with libraries. You know, this department, you know, we're products of this department. You know, this is that department does not just end, you know, at their office downtown. That department is the entire community. We plan in lockstep with that department. When we're thinking about something, when we have an idea, we call them, we get advice, we think about strategically,
I know.
how does it impact the whole
really
community?
important.
So I don't think we're sitting here for a hope and a prayer. I think we're being very active and advocating. But yes, if full funding is not restored, doors will be closed, jobs will be lost.
Exactly.
We need to advocate for full funding and not live in the world where funding is cut, because we're just at the beginning with this funding. And something I want to state is that every dollar that the county gives out for the arts needs to be matched by the organization. So if the county gives out $30 million, it's really $60 to $80 million dollars.
So
and there's very few funds
it's not like you're
where you
sitting
have
and
to
resting
have
on your
match.
laurels.
Yeah, and
You're out there hustling. Yeah,
and the lack of this funding means that we're closing doors for children, for students.
I know.
And if you want to have an art basel, if you want to have these great venues and entertainment, you need to train the next generation of artists in the classroom. They don't just come out of nowhere. It takes years and years and years to be able to get to that level, to be able to be at a pinnacle of success. So we can't take that, because if you cut the arts now and even say, well, it's only 20% or it's only 50%, and then in a few years from now, when there's another tough crunch, they're going to cut it again and cut it again, and you're just going to keep losing. And if we lose the chairman of the Miami-Dade Cultural Affairs, the director, then what you lose is your voice for advocacy. What you're losing is the person who's going to always put arts first. When you have a merger with the library, are they going to put arts first? Is it in their instinct, in their blood to do that, right? So you want to put someone in charge who's always going to look for different ways of fundraising and doing that. And I'm seeing the philanthropic community step up, and I think that's amazing. But what we don't want to see is that an exchange where the philanthropic community steps in for the government and the funding, because what that will do is be successful for a year or two. But are they going to continue to fill that $12 million every single year?
Exactly what South Florida PBS was saying.
Yeah.
You know, we know our donors will step in.
Yes.
But can they do it long haul? No,
and they shouldn't.
You can't.
And they have their own
grants.
grants. They have their own matching grants that they're doing, which is helping us be successful to match the Miami-Dade Cultural Affairs. Like, that's their place in their world.
Right.
Can they step up philanthropy? That'd be great. But what I would actually like to see is Miami-Dade Cultural Affairs not just do a cut, but to actually invest more money into the arts and double down. I don't think it should be a $12 million cut. I think there should be a $12 million investment and add on, because what we're seeing is a return on investment when it comes to the arts. I was going to say,
the return on investment is amazing.
If you looked at each one of our sectors, it's one of the greatest returns on investment. You know, and like, you go to New York City and you're there, and this is someone who's born and raised in Miami that never left, and you go to New York City, everywhere you go, there's arts. Everywhere you go, you can see 20 different jazz shows in a night. And all we've seen in Miami is we've seen the arts go up in more presentations, but we're seeing venue after venue just being cut. And if you start going after the organizations and leaving them behind, then eventually you're not going to have this great rise in the arts that we are all talking about. You're going to have empty days at the Arts Center. And all we're going to be doing is importing our artists from other places and not growing them here in Miami, which I think is important. I want to see a Miami where we're proud of our artists, where we're proud of our children as they become into adults, and we're able to support them and have viable jobs and careers here in the city and not have to leave to go have a viable job and career. And it
Right.
starts here with this one little line item, with this one grant. And I say little line item because we're talking about $12.8 billion budget. This is 0.01% of that budget.
Yeah.
And I know these are hard decisions that need to be made, and I'm happy that the mayor has been championing this and talking about this. To chairman has been talking about this, and you're seeing Commissioner Keone McGee and all these loud voices coming out right now, and they want to make sure the arts are supported. So we don't feel like this is falling on deaf ears. I know they have hard decisions to make. But what I'm hoping is that the arts is never the first thing on the chopping block, but the last thing on the chopping block.
Right. And because of the impact.
Yes.
And like you said, it's our children.
It's the most
that you're-
vulnerable children too.
Exactly. On top of that. Yeah. So, so what do you, both of your organizations, aside from this issue, I mean, I know everybody is supporting, go out there, talk to your commissioners, is there anything else that our viewers, what can they do?
Yes.
Can they say, okay, well, just to make sure, let me just make an extra donation this year?
It doesn't take much,
because you need more funding, like you said. So it doesn't hurt for you to make people realize how important it is, and maybe they haven't been funding things they should have been funding in the arts.
The first thing people should do, we always welcome people support of the arts in any way that they want to give and be supportive, whether that is opening their wallets and making a donation, but something that is very simple and accessible and won't hurt their wallet at all is to frankly send an email to your commissioner.
Exactly.
They're listening. And if your child has benefited from an after-school program that has had the arts incorporated into it, if your child has benefited from a Saturday program that they've gone to that has had the arts incorporated into it, if you have a child with special needs and they're involved in the county's All Kids Included program, and you're participating in that program, these are things that matter and make a difference to families. If you enjoy going out with your friends and you're able to go and see, oftentimes there are reduced price and free tickets that are available for the cultural organizations. So if you enjoy live music, if you're enjoying going to museums, if you enjoy when your family comes to visit you from out of town and you're able to go out into the community, these things matter in terms of our quality of life. And all you have to do is send an email to your commissioner, and just with a simple title, the arts matter to me, and they'll get the message.
Right.
There are also opportunities on September 4th and September 18th. Those are the county budget hearing meetings, where the community can come out and speak about the priorities and things that they want funded. We know there are so many priorities in this community. We are not the only thing here that is needing a lot of TLC this budget season. But we definitely want to make sure that funding is restored for where it's needed most in our community. There are lots of places. We want to just be mindful that the arts is one place that also needs to have some restoration of funds. So that's the first thing people can do. And then, of course, people can donate. They can get involved in local arts organizations. But right now, because the money is leveraged, we're talking about for every $1 that is invested in an arts organization here in Miami-Dade County, it's leveraged $42. Or arts, it's not just a one-to-one match.
Yeah.
That may be in the grant application, but that grant application is not our full budget size.
Right.
And oftentimes these are the operating dollars. It is easy for us to go out and raise programmatic dollars. It is harder to raise the operating dollars. And the county is so savvy in knowing that if they want their greatest return on investment, put a little here, and the arts community is resourceful, they're going to grow. They planted a seed and we have flourished. And now is not the time to do the hard prune where then we can't grow back again.
Exactly.
I want to say two things. I want to double tap on that. So not only emailing your commissioner, email all the commissioners and the mayor.
Oh, for sure.
They don't get a lot of emails, believe
They
it or
don't?
not. They're not about one topic. If they get 60 emails on one topic, it's like, oh, I have to listen to this. Like the community cares.
really?
And it's one thing for organizations to email. It's another thing when parents and students email. It's a different voice, and it's important because what a lot of people don't realize is that these programs are not part of the school. There were extra providers coming in. So if you're part of Guitars Over Guns or Arts for Learning, Miami Music Project, Young Musicians Unite, like a lot of these programs are being threatened right now to be cut. So that's one. And two, look at Give Miami-Dade by the Miami Foundation in November and get ready to donate, whether it's a $35 donation or if you can give a few
Does those get
$1,000s.
matched?
those
Yeah.
get matched, and it's
Yeah.
just it's a great day to be able to spread awareness because
Do they get matched, or they just get a percentage?
It's a percent. It's a
Yes.
I heard
percent. Yeah.
percentage over. Yeah, some people say it's matched. And I go, wait a minute. I don't
Not a
think
full
it's
one-to-one match, but it
Yeah,
does get
right, yeah.
leverage, and you are able to get extra.
it's
Yeah,
an easier
you think-
day to fundraise though. Like it's a day where I will reach out to people who normally won't give, and they'll give because they see that people are giving in Miami and they're raising
Right.
over $100 million, and people like to be given. People like to give to people who are being given to. I always like to say that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, give Miami-Dade one thing, but also, people. Do you need volunteers? Do you, it's time, talent, and treasure. So, do you need talent? And do you need time? So, are there any ways that viewers that are looking to come, viewing today, can say, hey, I can give music classes. I can teach art. Are there opportunities for doing that a different way, other than with artists, our teachers of being paid?
So I have to say that one of the things that's critically important to us as an organization is because we value the arts, we value our artists, we value their expertise,
Mhm.
and we don't expect it's a job. We don't expect people to volunteer, and
you
we
don't. Okay.
pride ourselves on paying artists who work on our program
Okay.
a livable wage so that they can continue to make Miami their home.
Mhm.
In addition, you have to have a lot of expertise to be an effective teacher. You're dealing with classroom management, you're dealing with multiple personalities in the room
Okay.
that you have to manage and make sure, in multiple ways of learning. We're about making impact. We want to make sure that through our arts programs that children can thrive. We want to make sure that they're developing their listening skills, their creative thinking skills, their critical thinking skills, their communication skills, their peer relations. The notion of rigor and discipline. It's a lot to teach if you're not expert at it.
Sure.
And especially if you have kids who maybe at the end of the day are tired and checked out, and you've got to capture their attention and make sure that you're going to be able to get them where you need them to be to thrive and be all that they can be. So that doesn't mean we turn down volunteers. That just means that when we're talking about, putting people in the classroom, we really want to make sure that we're talking to people who have expertise. So if there are individuals who are interested in teaching the arts and who are looking for work, absolutely contact Arts for Learning,
Well, I was
contact
more
Young
thinking
Musicians Unite,
Yeah.
Guitars Over Guns, always looking for artists and ways that you can,
I'm
work with
involved in
children.
a lot of nonprofit groups,
Mhm.
service organizations.
Yes.
And kind of what I was thinking of is if you're doing an event to support your,
Yes.
not teaching,
Okay.
but if you're
Clear.
doing an event, if you're doing a walk, if
Yes.
you're doing whatever you might be doing, if you need to collaborate with another organization, I can see that. Is there an opportunity to help you? What are you doing other than through your programming effort, through your grant making or grant requests or whatever? What are you doing to raise money? And if you're doing events, are there opportunities to people to volunteer at those events, even if it's an awareness event?
So, Sammy, this is a great time to talk about arts access too, though.
Yeah.
Following the 2008 recession, funding for public education was cut across the country. One of the hardest hit areas was arts programming, and as these programs disappeared, schools began to feel the impact. Grades declined, attendance dropped, and behavioral issues rose.
We think that the students come to school for reading, writing, and math, and they don't. They come to school for the things that they love to do. And so it's really important for us to make sure that we have those programs in schools to keep them there.
If I didn't have music, I wouldn't really have a voice.
It would just feel like the same routine each day. Like school wouldn't feel important.
I was just kind of quiet, just didn't want to do anything.
We don't have enough classes to meet the need or the want of the student. So there's been a bit of a gap in what the children want and what we can give them.
Arts Access was created to help bridge that gap, to reconnect students with arts education across the third largest school district in the country. Students in Arts Access Miami programs experienced a reduction in tardies and absences and an increase in test scores. It was clear the program was working, so Arts Access expanded its reach, bringing in additional partners and eventually serving all 12 schools in the Carroll City feeder pattern.
Curriculum has taken a huge front seat to what we do and how we operate. The challenge was they didn't have the funding, so you couldn't hire an additional teacher. With 8 periods, we could not find a way to insert the arts in the elective offerings.
The success in Carroll City served as a blueprint for other areas across the county. Arts Access turned its attention south to Homestead, a region often overlooked and facing its own unique challenges.
There's always been a stigma that certain things wouldn't work in the Homestead area. Opportunity is the #1 thing that Arts Access is providing to our feeder schools.
Playing the violin makes me feel very happy and calm.
One of the highlights for Arts Access is the Miami Gardens Youth Music Festival. The festival has seen thousands of performers and attendees gather to celebrate and support youth talent. That tradition continues with the addition of the South Dade Youth Music Festival. In just its first year, the festival welcomed over 1,000 student performers and 2,500 attendees. Both festivals continue to grow, creating awareness and support in their local communities.
When you collaborate and you bring people together, the impact is so much greater. These 25 organizations are currently supporting arts programming in over 55 of our schools. It's being done in a very unique way, like I have not seen before, and seeing the synergy and the impact, it's a model. It's a model for any other school district.
I would love to see Arts Access be all over the entire school district, but involving all forms of performing arts, from dance and theater, as well as all forms of music, and giving all of our students that opportunity of experiencing a little bit of all art forms.
And you also have your annual gala that's
Yeah.
just
you have a
phenomenal too.
gala.
I do
Yes.
have a gala.
Right, I
It's-
forgot.
It's April 25th, 2026, so it's a little bit from now.
Yeah.
We raised about $1.6 million, sold out at 700 people this past year. And hopefully-
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big event. We do it at Manor Wynwood. It's a party that I want to go to, which I think is the most important thing
Yeah,
when
right.
you're throwing events. But, Arts Access Miami, it's a coalition of 25 of the largest arts and music education organizations in Miami. And what we do is we work together to strategically align across the whole neighborhood. So
Right.
we're all of North Dade, so Miami Gardens is our focus, or South Dade and Homestead is another focus. And we have these organizations, and we're meeting together as leadership, CEOs, or program directors, or marketing, and we're using the same data tools to be able to measure data with students, to be able to see our impact and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it culminates into this festival. So we have the Miami Gardens Youth Music Festival. We have the South Dade Youth Music Festival. We're talking about over 1,100 kids on stage, over 50 organizations coming together. So right now we are advocating to be able to work together as arts organizations, and we're doing that. And that's why we're so loud right now, and for many reasons. But we have been slowly realizing that together we're stronger, and that we're actually not a threat to each other, that we can leverage our dollars together, that we can be louder together because you have a megaphone. So a lot of people do not realize that the arts has been cut from schools. And as we're all messaging that together, you're able to see more and more of that. But one of my favorite things about Arts Access is that you'll have a neighborhood of 13 schools, and you'll have a school with 3 organizations while the school down the street has no one. And through Arts Access, we're able to say, hey, how about you go to this school and you go to this school? And we're able to extend our dollars.
Right.
And we're having programming from preschool to high school, in school to after school for thousands and thousands of students.
So the ones that don't have the schools that offer the art classes, they can go to the
They're now
ones after school.
No. Yes. Well,
Is
we're
that the
actually
idea?
filling every school.
Oh, you are?
The goal is to fill
Kids
every
don't have to
school in the
move.
neighborhood, so they don't have to move.
So they don't have to
Yeah,
move.
so we're filling the gaps by having that
Yeah.
communication, by having that extra funding and leverage.
Yeah.
And, we're seeing best practices between leadership right now, and we're seeing that growth as a community.
That's
What
great.
we're seeing is a lot of the budgets of the organizations have been growing substantially because of this, because together we're stronger,
Yeah,
which
for sure.
you would think before you're going to take my dollars and,
No, I'm a firm believer. And, there's a lot of, once you get that synergy going, even donors will say, oh, well, wait a minute. I didn't know about this other. Yeah, we'll give to that one too. Oh yeah, we'll give to that one too.
Yeah.
And we'll allot these people from our business to be kind of the point person at this because they like to be involved in everything if they can. The bigger the institution, the more they want to be involved.
Yeah.
So, believe
About
it or
volunteering, though, just real
What?
quick, to get to the heart of your question about how people can really get involved
Right,
and why
yeah.
I also teed
Right,
up
yeah,
Arts
please.
Access is these community youth festivals and arts festivals that we do. A wonderful opportunity for the community to get involved and to volunteer.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
and they're all in the spring, so we'll come back on the show and we'll promote them. But it would be a great opportunity for people to come and see firsthand.
Well, we don't have time because we're out.
Yeah.
but, Greater Miami Festivals and Events Association. Are you members of that? And are your festivals members? Because if they're not, it's not expensive, and you need to be.
It's a great resource.
way
Thank
to get
you.
Debbie, do you know Debbie
No.
Megenheimer?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm telling you, all the festivals you're doing, you need to be
What's
a
the
member.
name of the resource one more time?
It's called Greater Miami Festivals and Events
Mm-hmm.
Association. I'll give you the information.
Cool.
It's GMFEA Miami, I think .org. I don't know.
I'll find it.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
But that's a great resource, and it came out of the Cultural Affairs Council. So this started right when they started getting funding and everything for it, and it started growing, and this organization came out of that. And yeah, you need to be a member.
Thank you. You're such a good resource for us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. My goodness. So thank you so much for coming today. I know we went over, but I hope we got the message out and people will start, realizing the importance and start contacting the chair and the commission and let them know how important it is to maintain and increase funding for the arts.
There we go.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So thanks for joining us today. And until next time, make a difference in your community and support the arts. Yay.
Thank you, Gloria.